Welcome back. We have Diane Masson on today, and you certainly know her. She has written the book, Your Senior Housing Options, and a great book. It really goes over in detail all the different scenarios that may happen to someone, and it's a great book to read and to learn what's in there before things happen. Sometimes that's not the case though, right?
Exactly, and I wrote it to empower seniors so that when you're still well, you have all your options. And as somebody ages and suddenly they're in the hospital or they're in skilled nursing, then they have less options. So this book is about empowering seniors to plan ahead while they have options, and I just think that that's really important. But the options are a little bit overwhelming.
They are.
And people don't know what things cost and how does it all work. And so through my experience, both personally and professionally, I spelled it all out in this book in a very simple format. So in about 4 hours, somebody can know everything they really need to know.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to go over some scenarios here. And the first one is, the scenario is for a single senior with dementia. And explain that. That would mean somebody that may not be married anymore, and the children notice that they're beginning the early stages of some form of dementia or
Correct.
Alzheimer's.
So that could be a widow or something like that. They've lost their spouse or they were never married. And when you're all alone and you've got a little dementia going on, it's very important to make a decision sooner than later.
Yeah.
And I had a really good friend, and she got diagnosed with dementia, and she said to me, Diane, I figure I got about 2 more years in my home. And I said, you really don't. You have about 6 months. And she goes, why, Diane? And I said, because as the dementia progresses, you're not going to make as good of a decision as you can right now. And so it's better to make decisions now, or you're going to be in a situation where your family's going to have to put you someplace. And she goes, oh, I didn't think of that. And so she was very grateful. So we kind of looked at what her options were, and I spelled them out in the book. So one option was that she could bring in a little care, home care. And, you know, maybe she just needs help with meals or, you know, just a little bit of chore services and stuff like that. But what she didn't realize was that it's kind of a slippery slope when you do home care, because suddenly, you know, you might need it 24 hours a day.
Right.
And it becomes very cost prohibitive. So for a reputable home care company, that can cost about $18,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people don't know that. And when you have dementia and you have one person coming in to take care of you, you're in a vulnerable state. And they can take advantage of you, and they can and they do. And so I really caution single seniors with dementia to use home care. I think you're much better off being in a licensed facility that can support you. And in a rental facility, that could either be independent living, and if you have real light dementia, you may qualify. And if you have heavier dementia, then most likely you're going to need to move into an assisted living. If it's dementia where you're wandering and things like that, then you're going to need to be in a secured memory care. And if you can no longer take care of yourself, you're probably going to be in skilled nursing. So let me just kind of walk through what the costs are. So if it was a rental facility that's independent living, there's a real range out there, and that could be maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a month.
Okay.
Assisted living could...
And I want to just stop you there for a minute. When you talk about independent living, you were talking, from my understanding, more of an apartment-like situation, or I want to even say like a hotel-like situation where your meals are all included or something like that. Maybe you have a little apartment type thing. They come in, they clean your apartment once a month or once a week or whatever it might be.
Exactly.
That's kind of what you're talking about,
yes.
right?
And then they have entertainment, activities, transportation, all those things.
And some people move to those places, they're perfectly healthy. They're just like, I don't want to worry about anything anymore. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then if somebody's further into their dementia, they're probably only going to qualify for assisted living. It costs more. So that can run from about $5,000 to $7,000 a month.
Okay.
And you really got to watch out, because a lot of places charge by points and levels of care. And you may start at a lower level and it could suddenly get very expensive. So you really got to watch that. And then there's memory care, and those run from about $6,000 to $8,000 a month, can go as much as $10,000 a month in the area.
Wow.
And then skilled nursing is about $90,000 a year. So you always have to remember that when you're moving into a rental facility, that at some point, if you outlive your resources, they can ask you to leave. And if you outlive the care that they can provide, they're going to ask you to leave. And so then you got to start all over again with a new place. So your other option, if you choose this at the beginning, you still have a home to sell, you still have some assets, you could potentially move into a continuing care retirement community. And if you select that and you're a single senior, they help you transition through the levels of care. So your family doesn't have to do it, or if you're all alone and you don't have any children, the continuum of care helps you transition through the levels of care.
Okay.
And some of them out there provide a guarantee of care for life. So when you get into these expensive options of assisted living and skilled nursing, if you outlive your resources through no fault of your own, they can make up the difference. The only ones I know of in the area that offer that guarantee of care is Freedom Village in Lake Forest and our sister community called The Village in Hemet.
Okay, all right. You know, that's, I think, you had other scenarios here, but they all kind of follow kind of the same thing. I want to ask, that is one of the hardest things to find a reputable place. And, you know, people might be watching here, or maybe they have loved ones that are in different cities, out of state, and it's hard for now, and they want to, and those people are going to stay in those areas, how to find these type of reputable places. That's to me, one of the biggest challenges to start with.
Right, and I go through all those tips in the book on what questions that you could ask, but just to give you an idea of a couple of questions, you want to find out how long the administrator has worked there.
Okay.
And typically if you go to 4 communities, 3 out of 4 will tell you less than a year. And you're looking for a community that's got longevity of staff, especially in key roles like the administrator position, because that person will control your mother's life or your life because they're in charge.
Yeah.
And so it's really important that that's one way of finding a reputable place. Other things that you want to look for is meeting the other residents and interviewing them, interviewing other staff, looking around. You can't tell when you walk in if it's a great retirement community or mediocre. It all depends on the questions you ask. And
Right.
so in your specific situation, if you walk in the door and you're diabetic, then you want to be able to talk with the chef and find out what do they do for diabetic residents. If you are in a situation where you need medication management, you want to meet the nurse. How do they provide that medication management? How is that billed to the resident? How does it all work? And you want to kind of dig down and ask some questions. And what a lot of people do is they just look for what they need today. And one of the greatest tips I can give the viewers out there is don't look just for today, but what are you going to need 6 months down the road, a year down the road, and look for the whole package of what you're going to need for future care and how much is that future care going to cost.
Exactly. Yeah, it's no different than looking at your finances years from now, just in general, retirement or something like that. We just got about 30 seconds left, so I want to hold up your book here. Your senior housing options. Diane, where can people get this?
They can get it on Amazon.com. It's also available on Kindle.
Okay, very good. And it's an easy read. You got some fun little comic type things in here, but you make it very approachable, this book, and easy for people to get some great information tips. Good to see you again.
Great to see you as well.
All right, and you take care. Maybe I'll see you at Disneyland. She's a Disney fan like me, so maybe we'll meet there one day.
All right, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. All right, we'll be right back. Good to see you.